do your report. Thank you. All right, so, excuse me, usually we just go through a quick, excuse me, it's been a long day. Okay, so we go through a quick introduction of everybody. And I have a feeling we'll get a lot of people coming in tonight because of the topic. So I'm just going to ask that if you speak, that you introduce yourself for the first time, or if you, even if you have a question, then you go ahead and you introduce yourself at that time, because otherwise when we start getting 25, 35 people in here, it starts to take up quite a bit of our time, and we don't necessarily want to do that. So as far as the agenda goes, that for welcome meeting purpose, this is our June 12th Zoom meeting, Fire Safe Council. And as I said, we'll go through introductions and announcements as people speak. And we will go ahead and move into our guest speaker tonight, who's Ann Barbour. Did I say that right? From United Policyholders.
Annie Barbour, United Policyholders.
Thank you.
So I'm going to try to share my screen first, see if I totally mess it up, Greg. I have my screen. I just hit share, but there was one other thing I have to do, correct?
I have to make you a co-host, Annie, for you to share a screen.
Okay.
Let me do that. Just give me a second.
And if you have questions for her, could you please either raise your hand in the chat and we'll get to you. We have several people that follow the chat program, and that will really help.
Hey, you should be able to now, Annie.
Okay. Okay, Greg, it's going to be up to you. Because I knew I was going to do this after I got here. You know that there's something I miss out if I don't have my cheat sheet.
Giselle, can you help her?
So go ahead,
No.
Giselle. Giselle, you're muted.
Annie, send me your PowerPoint. I don't have it. I can see if I can get it up.
Yeah, I sent it to Greg.
Right, Greg, can you get up her PowerPoint and share the screen?
I'm looking at it.
Sorry,
It
folks.
says,
That's okay.
Giselle, I'm sending it over to you by message.
Alrighty. I'll get it. Just give me a sec.
Then I think you need to click the request access so that Annie can.
Yeah, I
let you
did
in.
that. I gave her the ability to host our co-host so that she can get in. Okay, let me see if I can find this.
So Annie, on your screen, there's not, at the very bottom, there's not a green button that comes up as share screen.
So I put it in slideshow and then I do share screen.
Yeah, you just put share screen and then it will show you your desktop and you click on your PowerPoint. You might have anything you have open will show up, but you click on the PowerPoint. Greg, that's not coming to me. I don't see it.
Yeah, there's something that I'm missing and I don't know what it is.
Okay. It's okay. We'll get it figured out. No worries.
Do you see that green button that says share screen?
Oh, there's something I have to do before that. and I can't remember what it is.
Okay,
I have the PowerPoint up on my screen.
But-
No,
But on the Zoom screen is what I'm referring to.
Oh,
On the Zoom screen,
yeah,
on the bottom, there's different tabs and one says share screen. It should be bright green if you're a co-host now.
got it.
And then if you click on that,
And that.
hey,
Okay.
here
Are
we
you guys
go.
seeing
you got
that?
it.
You got it.
Good instruction,
Yay.
Jean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me go. Okay, so don't bother with the date, folks. This is just our recent one. And if you have questions and you'd like to put them in the chat, that would be amazing because I may answer your question before before the end of the presentation, or there may be 3 people with the same question, and then we can deal with it all at once. So a little bit about United Policyholders. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we do not accept any money from insurance companies. We've been around for 33 years, and all of our funding comes from grants and donations. So Listos is who is kindly funding this preparedness bit. So thank you to them. We've been closely monitoring the property insurance marketplace. And, I would love to tell you that I have a lot of answers for you tonight, but I don't on a lot of things. We are waiting and waiting and waiting to find out how this is going to shake out. A lot of them are, non-renewing, as you guys are finding out, by zip code. It doesn't matter necessarily what you've done to your house, the mitigation standards you've complied with. We all know State Farm is just canceling, non-renewing people, and that they've just recently come back and said that they are still going to be writing insurance in California, but with the caveat that basically they're going to write the difference in conditions policy, not the homeowner's policy. So that's if you're with the California Fair Plan. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to keep their insurance, keep your cars with them, keep your umbrella policy, whatever you have. So just so we're pretty clear on that, they are not saying they're going to write homeowners policy. We understand that the California Fair Plan is out of reach for many. And I don't see that there's going to be relief in that right off the bat. They're working on availability over affordability at this point. The California Fair Plan has a lot of delays in their processing, and the Commissioner's Sustainable Insurance Strategy aims to increase options. We are waiting to see how that will work out. At the end of the day, what we don't want to see, 2/3 of people after disaster we're finding are underinsured. And that can be somewhat underinsured, and that can be grossly underinsured. So if you're going to get insurance, there's a lot of different things you can do to lower the price. Probably not enough to help you immensely, but we'll get into that. So as I said, State Farm is wanting for you to bundle their difference in condition, your cars, that type of thing. If you're looking for other insurance, you should bundle it with somebody else who will write an actual homeowner's policy for you. That's where you're going to get the biggest discount. You want to work, if you've gotten that notice or you think that notice is coming, you want to get a proactive insurance agent or broker. Generally, we recommend a broker because they have access to about 80% of the market, whereas the agents have just what's under their umbrella. So like with farmers, they may have 5. Some agencies are opening it up for their agents and they're giving them more options to sell insurance, more surplus line. With the way that insurance is going, you really want to raise your deductible. And as much as I know that it's not always easy to absorb all this, if you still have conventional insurance, that will help take down the price. But it's also, if you have one claim at this point, most insurance companies are going to non-renew you. So you want to make sure it's worth it. I look at mine as catastrophic insurance at this point. If you're with the California Fair Plan, you want to get whatever insurance you need to get and pick it apart and make sure you're covered for the things that are most important. A higher deductible will reduce your premium. And some deductibles aren't a dollar figure, they're a percentage. So you have to do the math and make sure that you're covered properly. Reducing or eliminating buckets of coverage you can live without. If some insurance companies will allow you to pick and choose. So your dwelling is set at a certain amount, and then your contents and your loss of use are a percentage of that. So if your house is going to cost $1 million to rebuild, this is just an example, and that affords you $750,000 worth of contents, and you don't have that much contents. The cost to rebuild homes now is outrageous, and it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand with all those buckets of money. So if that's the case, you want to contact your insurance agent and ask them if you can reduce that, but you want to do it with a shopping mindset of, okay, if I reduce it to 500,000, what's the difference? How much will I save? Make sure it's worth your while. You've all heard it over and over and over again, right? Harden your home, create defensible space, give the insurer proof. And as much as that sounds really easy, it's not always a slam dunk with insurance companies right now. So this is some of the terminology. If you're dropped or non-renewed, if you're dropped, it's normally because you have not paid your insurance. And most of the people that get dropped for non-payment, it's because they're getting their bills electronically on their emails, and they're not owed for another 6 weeks. And so that email disappears and you forget it. So if you're getting your emails, your billing by email, tell them you want a paper bill also, just so you have something to put on the refrigerator or put in your bill pile to remind you. Non-renewed is what we're seeing for the most part. They're allowing you to go to the end of your contract, which is year to year, but it's the month that you started it in. And I know that State Farm's been very good at this. We haven't found any that are a problem as of yet, but they're required to give you a 75-day notice to non-renew you. California Fair Plan, in your area, you guys are all very familiar with that. And the difference in conditions is the insurance that you get that fills the gap, because right out of the box, the California Fair Plan, it's just fire insurance. It doesn't cover liability. It doesn't cover water damage. It doesn't cover theft. So you want to marry the two policies together. We have the admitted and non-admitted, which I'm going to go over a little bit more in depth with you. And the California Guarantee Association, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and the risk score. I would like to tell you that there's a real basic format for your risk score, but there isn't. They use 3 different agencies with different numbers. It's not like a 1 to 10. Some are a negative to a positive. And it's kind of ridiculous, quite frankly. They need to simplify that. If you are dropped, and if you have a good agent, my agent tells me every year what my risk score is. And if you're dropped, they are required to. And then you have an offer. You can do an appeal process for improving your score. That does not mean that they're going to take you. It does not mean there is a actual new site on the California Department of Insurance where you can appeal the process. But to be brutally honest, it's brand new and we don't know how effective it's going to be. California Fair Plan must take all comers with very few exceptions. And you should be able to get up to a 14.5% discount. Other insurers should give you a discount, but basically what we're finding is that they're using those standards to say whether you will have insurance or not, as opposed to you've complied, so now we're going to keep you and you get a discount. It's becoming much more the norm. The sustainable insurance strategy is in process, and we really are waiting to see how that model helps. So if you get that dreaded letter, don't wait. You need to start shopping immediately. You need to get a proactive agent or broker. And in the big picture of things, you need to ask that agent or broker how long it's taking to get a California Fair Plan. You do not want to go bare. And we've heard anywhere, depending on the month and the date, some insurers have said they've gotten a policy in 5 days. Most are saying that it's a long process and can take up to 90 days. And they're getting about 1,000 applications a day, and they're just not able to keep up. So if your agent or broker thinks they can get you another policy, that's great. But as they're doing that, if they can't promise you that in the next day or two, start the process for the California Fair Plan. If he or she finds you a policy, then you can just stop that process. But it's better to do that than to wait and find out that you have a lapse. So 4 kinds of insurance companies. There's the admitted, who are licensed by the state of California. They have oversight from the Department of Insurance. They are also secured that if they were to go bankrupt, you as a consumer would receive $500,000. There's the non-admitted, who are slightly regulated by the California Department of Insurance. And if they were to go belly up, you would receive nothing. You just get in the bankruptcy line and say a little prayer. That does not mean that you should not use a non-admitted. There are ways to check on that. And then we have the California Fair Plan, or the CEA, the forced lender placed policies. People really need to be aware that if you do not supply your mortgage company with insurance, proof of insurance, they will put a lender place policy on the mortgage. And they will send you a letter, and it'll basically say, because you did not comply and give us proof of your insurance, we have put insurance on it. What they're not saying is that that only covers the mortgage. They'll say it's for the mortgage, but it's not for you at all. You will not have loss of use. You will not have contents, and all of your equity in your home will just be gone. If your mortgage is $300,000, that's how much the mortgage company has insured. So just be very careful about that. This I've already gone through, and that I've already gone through. So again, the FAIR Plan is for your dwelling only: fire, lightning, internal explosion, smoke. The difference in conditions, that you would get from a regular insurance company, State Farm, Farmers, AAA, whatever, covers the water damage, theft, and liability. Without the two, if something were to happen and somebody were to sue you, or someone was going to come in and they were going to steal from you, you would not have coverage for any of that. And if you had a burst pipe and didn't discover it for 2 days because you were gone, it wouldn't cover that either. So as I said, the California Fair Plan out of the box is a very bare bones policy. And you're not going to get the extended coverage for hailstorm, wind, explosion, vandalism, replacement cost, all of these things. The fair rental value is your loss of use, code upgrades. These are things that are in a regular policy. Your dwelling, your loss of use, your code upgrades, your debris removal, and your other structures. So you have to take the policy that you have and compare it to the policy from the FAIR Plan and make sure that you tick all those boxes that are important. In a declared disaster, that debris removal, if FEMA declares it and they do debris removal, that 5% will cover the entire thing. They can't bill you anything extra. But 5%, if you have a partial loss or a one-off, is probably not going to cover everything. If you don't have that, though, you're really hurting. So this is probably the most important slide today. And because people are looking at surplus lines, you have a lot of brokers and agents who are selling the surplus lines. You need to be very diligent about making sure that they are financially stable. This consumers.ambest.com is where you would look it up. And, or you can call this number here. And then there's a list of approved surplus line insurers through the Department of Insurance. If I had to go on a surplus line, I'd be checking this every 3 months. I've already lost my home once. I would just want to see that they still had an A or an A+ rating, A++, and that they weren't falling short financially. And they keep pretty good tabs on all of these companies. So that would be your safeguard, your safety net. Risk scores, risk scores and zip codes, you can't get away from them. It's replacing the person coming out to look at your property to see what you've done. It's replacing, just that human touch. And yeah, this is my zip code, but 3 houses down is a different zip code, and they all have regular insurance. It's not fair. It's not uniform, and it's very difficult to keep track of. If you switch an insurance company, you can have a completely different format, and you really need to ask that agent to explain that to you. So this is where you can appeal your risk score. So if you've done everything we were talking earlier, there was a gal on here who had a list of things to do. And that if she did those things, that they were supposed to insure her, keep her insured. If they come back and say, no, this is where you would go to the appeal process, and you'd file a complaint with the Department of Insurance saying, they said this, make sure you have documentation in an email format. I talked to you on this date, you said if I did these things that I could retain my insurance. And this is how you navigate that. So if you went on the Department of Insurance website, California Department of Insurance, it would walk you through that process. They also have the phone number where you can call and you can register your complaint that way. I think everybody here is probably familiar with the IBHS and the standards. that they have come up with to keep these wildfires with their wonderful wind from spreading. 90% is from embers, and they have blown embers at houses at a high rate of speed, and this is what they've come up with. So that first 5 feet around your house, no vegetation. Your roof and your gutters are clear. You have a Class A fire rated roof. You have screens. So, they'll try to sell you, everybody will try to sell you those wonderful guards that go over around your foundation so that you can seal that off from embers. And they're very expensive. They're great. They hit a certain temperature and they close. And then they're done. You'd have to replace them all. 1/8 inch wire mesh will work the same way except for closing. But if you go on the IBHS website, you will see them with a demonstration of an ember hitting it and dissipating, because it's just the right size to take all the fire out of it. So it can't get under your house. So you want to have your screens just like in the bottom right corner. You may be tacking them on yourself. They may not look this pretty. You may be going into the crawl space and doing it from inside. What you don't want to do is to put a screen over a screen or use anything smaller than 1/8 inch. Right now, they're saying that if you use anything smaller than that will actually trap debris, and it will give the embers something to ignite. It'll also possibly cause mold under your house. If you have vents on your roof, you have a chimney, you want to cover those too. You're trying to keep that ember from going in or going under. Trees. They are a very difficult challenge for people because they're expensive to remove or to keep cut back. And, you have someone in the neighborhood, you have someone in your community that wants some extra work who's good at this kind of thing. Buddy up with these people. Utilize whatever you can. Anytime I go to a rural community, the first thing I see is wood underneath the deck. And I can tell you that I live with my boyfriend and I drug all that stuff out from underneath his deck. So you don't want that. You just don't want that. Wood fencing touching your home, that is considered a wick. And I live in Coffee Park. I lived in Coffee Park. I've replaced my home there. The fences acted like a wick. It just goes right up to your house. So their recommendation is that you have a metal fence. I'm going to tell you that metal fences are expensive. Again, you have someone in the community that can figure out how to go to Home Depot and create a metal that lasts 5 feet metal fence. That person's very valuable. And got that guy. So they have something called a wildfire prepared home. And this is a program of IBHS. And they have contracted with mitigation groups, and they will come out and inspect your home. And then they will give you this nifty little paper that says that you're wildfire prepared. That paper should last for 3 years, but you will have to show pictures of the fact that you've maintained everything every year. So this is this is for people in the Firewise community. We have a RAP group, Wildfire Risk and Preparedness, maybe. And we have a meeting once a month. But on our website, we have been able to expand that shows all the different areas for mitigation under the RAP program. And firefighters go on there, government officials, and they say what they've done, what grants they've received to do them and how effective it was. And it's a great place to share resources and to make sure that you have taken everything you can, gotten everything you can, and to help your community. The Recover California program is still available, but it's getting close. And I know there are some other things coming into play, but Siskiyou County, you probably want to touch base with them expressly and see if they have any new grants. I know that Congressman Thompson came up with, and Huffman came up with some legislature that they're trying to push through where every homeowner could get up to $10,000. And it's really an open program. I think the income can be up to 250,000. So it's really just about, and it's not supposed to have a lot of restrictions on it. So if you have to use it to take down trees or cut back trees, you can, whatever it is that you need to do. So the California Fair Plan, as we talked about discounts for insurance, other companies aren't necessarily giving them, but the California Fair Plan is. They will give you 10% for a hardened home and 5% for defensible space. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do the math. To me, that's 15%, but the maximum you can get is 14.5%. So when you're looking at it and you go, wait a minute, they're cheating. That's the way it works. This is your home hardening. It's all the things that we talked about, but this is more for the WUI. So enclosing your eaves, which is very expensive. We're now looking into and asking if you can do the 1/8 inch mesh, wire mesh over your vents. Can you not do the same thing on your eaves? We have to find affordable ways for people to navigate this. Double pane windows, mesh covering over your vents, the 6 inches at the bottom where your foundation is. Are you okay? And, then the outside is all the things you've been taught, the vegetation, keeping things clear, your zones around your house, that first 5 feet, and that's your other 5% discount. So the home hardening is the 10% and the wildfire vegetation is 5%. At the end of the day, you have this great policy, whether it's California Fair Plan or it's a conventional plan. Your coverage A limit should be enough to replace your home with one that's similar to your size and features. It's not how much you could sell your house for. What we're finding definitely in every area is that it costs a lot more to rebuild your house than what you could sell it for. And it's very important that you recognize that. We have a hard time telling you how much you should need per square foot. But if you take that amount and you divide it out by your square footage, you'll know how much you have per square foot to rebuild. And that's really important for you to recognize. We do have a resource that we're not pushing, but it's someone who we're familiar with who says for $150, and I think it's on the next slide, that he can do a comprehensive study of your house to determine what it would cost today. That doesn't mean 6 months from now. It doesn't mean like when we had supply and demand issues with the pandemic and everything went through the roof, but at least it would give you the concept. It would give you something to base it off of. I go periodically to brand new homes and I see what they cost per square foot. And I add to that because they have economy of scale. So they're ordering 300 toilets. I may have a one-off fire and I may have someone who has to order 2 toilets, and he's not going to get the same discount. So this is the service that you can sign up for. It's on our website. And here is the link if that's something you're interested in. So the biggest thing you can do is just stay connected with what's going on, be proactive, avoid insuring your dwelling. Building code upgrades are huge. So my house was a 1970s tract home at a whopping 1,500 square feet. My code upgrades in 2018 were $68,000. And it's all based on how old your home is. Now it would be 100,000 because the solar and the electric car hookup. And I'm telling you this so that you kind of have something to base it on. If you do not have building code upgrades in your insurance, you can't take it out of any other bucket. It comes right out of your pocket. And nobody tells you that when you sign up for insurance. Compare what your premiums would be with various deductibles. So make sure raising the deductible actually gets you a good, something that's worthwhile financially to make you do it. I have a $5,000 deductible. I'm probably going to go up to a $10,000. It's also what you can financially absorb, but just, you have to know that one claim will probably, with what's going on, get you non-renewed. To reiterate, reduce or eliminate non-essential coverages if you can. Go around with your phone and videotape everything inside and outside your house. That is so important to do. You can put it in the cloud. You can put it on a stick, and you can mail it to somebody out of the area. But you want to make sure that you have that in case something were to happen, because that's one of the hardest things to do, is make that list, and then you have something to fight with. It doesn't mean you're going to give it to the insurance company. It simply means that if you had something that was unique, antiques can't be depreciated, unique items can't be depreciated. And so all of that is, if you have a really good video of that part, you're going to want to cut that part out and send it to them. They don't need to see all your items and then they determine what should be depreciated to what amount. But you having the video will help you with recreating. You're FireWise, fire safe. That's why I'm here, because that's what your community is. And I commend you for doing everything you can. I know Siskiyou is in a difficult area. And take steps to harden your home and create defensible space. And become good neighbors. So if one guy has a tractor and some gal has the ability to cut things back really well, and somebody else can do the vents, and somebody else can make lunch, you're going to be that much stronger as a whole. And you're going to know your neighbors. I think it's really important that you understand that in Coffee Park, unfortunately, we lost 5 of our people that night. Had we not been the kind of community that was knocking on doors, we would have lost way more. For myself, I did a timetable, and from the time I got my alert and I got out was about 2.5, 3 minutes. My neighbors got out about 2 minutes after, and the back bumper of their car was melted. So you're not going to have the fire department there. You're not going to have, you have each other. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. And hopefully that is enough of an incentive for you to get to know your neighbors. I think you guys are a fairly close community, but I also know that there's some distance between houses at times. And so just so you know, insurance is the number one source of money. It's not FEMA. FEMA's average is $5,000. SBA loans can be problematic. They're low interest, but they have to be repaid. And sometimes you have to file again and again and appeal. Charitable aid generally is for those who need the basic needs. And it's, the way I can compare it is that Coffee Park had a really amazing recovery because the stars were in alignment. We had a very mortgaged community, working class, and people had insurance because they had mortgages. Insurance hadn't gone crazy yet. The price to rebuild a home was high, but it's nothing like it is now. We have 99.8% homes rebuilt. Paradise, lack of insurance. They have the best long-term recovery group I have ever seen. And they are at 30% and are not expecting more. They're expecting that they'll have to wait for people to come through and bring their families and settle down there. And it's all due to insurance. We do have a survey that we would love for you to fill out. And I will share this, well, I've already shared the deck with you guys, and you can share this on your page so that they have all the links. But I just like to finish up with giving you a few. I know you guys have been through fires. I know that it's been problematic in your area and scary. 5 phone numbers on a piece of paper, one being out of the area, in your car, in an envelope. We don't memorize phone numbers anymore. And if you run out that door and you can't find your phone and you don't have time, you can find someone with a phone, but you're not going to have a number to call to say you're out and you're safe. And that's huge. Number 2, take a picture of your prescription drugs. Normally you can go in and get a 5-day emergency fill somewhere if you have that. Many people have their doctor's offices in the same area that they live. And if that's the case, they may not be able to get to you. If you have vulnerabilities at home, if you have children after school, if you have elderly pets, put a lockbox on your house. They're about $25, $30 on Amazon. You can safely put a key in there. And instead of one person being available to go in and help you, if you're not there, there could be a multitude of people because you could just call and say, this is the number of the lockbox. I have mine on the back end of my house where the irrigation pipes are. So it doesn't have to be visible. It's just something that people can get into quickly. And when you're evacuating, be very conscious of how many vehicles you're taking. In my fire, people got separated, and that was scary. Finding each other, having a meetup place is great if you know where the fire's coming from and where the safe spot is. But in many cases, you're not sure. And traveling together is just safer. But it also allows evacuations to happen faster. And last but not least, biggest thing Maui taught us, have some cash. I don't care if it's just enough cash to go to the grocery store and buy a few things to eat. You can sleep in your car, worst case scenario, but you're going to need gas money and you're going to need food money. And if the ATMs or the debit cards don't work, that's going to be problematic. So that's my presentation tonight. And I see we have some questions in the chat.
Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome. So the FAIR plan is a plan that the Department of Insurance put together, California did, that said, if you are going to write policy in California, you have to take a portion of the risk. And so that's the California Fair Plan. So every agency, say AAA, Allstate, whatever they write, they have to take a certain percentage of that and also write for the higher risk. So the California Fair Plan is the safety net that allows people to get insurance. It's expensive. It's not the ideal situation, but I can tell you from working in Colorado that they are waiting impatiently. Theirs is coming together, and it's in 2025. So they're rebuilding homes and they can't get insurance. They already have a mortgage because pre-fire, they had a mortgage, they carried it over. So the California Fair Plan is a bit of a bridge. It's not perfect, but unfortunately it's better than nothing. Let me see if there's other questions here. And in a perfect world, I would love to just wave a magic wand and tell you that this is all going to get better overnight. I think it's going to get, this is just my opinion, I think it's going to get more difficult. I think they're working on availability, and then affordability will come along after availability. So there will be some lag in that. When contacting an insurance company to figure out what standards they use when determining a homeowner's risk score, what department? So I think that you can simply talk to the Joshua, the agent, and they should be able to tell you. And then Brandy wants to know if anyone has found a good broker locally. And Brian says, Goosehead Insurance in Reading found me a policy. I think that we did hear, yes, I would be willing to share my PowerPoint. I think that what we have found is that some of these insurance companies are only allowed, like Farmers is only allowed to write like 5 policies each at the start of the month. And so as you're looking at that and you're looking at areas where it's more problematic to get insurance, that's where you might want to get a hold of an agent who's working in an area that doesn't have as many problems getting insurance, because they may have room for those 5 policies that they want to write. And they may not be getting the business because they're not in a problematic area. Not that every area doesn't have its problems, because it does, but it's just another resource, another option to try. And, that's what we're out there doing. We're just trying to figure out how we can help people best and help you guys navigate through all of this, and praying a lot that there's no fires this year. It's not working out yet.
Greg Dinger shared a link of an insurance Rich Tory or Rich Taurus.
Rich Torreson, it's a guy named Brian.
Okay.
He's down at the south end of town, next to the nursery.
Yeah. And you have his insurance through him?
I do.
Okay.
So again, if you're going to use the surplus lines, and a lot of people have used surplus lines for years, and they may not have even have known it. Just make sure you use that link for AM Best to make sure that they stay, and that they are, and that they stay financially viable.
All right, is there any other questions that we have for Annie? Don't see any more in chat. Annie, I want to personally thank you. Great presentation.
I did want to ask a question if I could. This is Marlene.
Go ahead.
Okay, so God forbid you do have a fire, your house burns down, and you say, that's it, I've had enough, I'm moving, I'm done.
Mhm.
So the insurance, do they have to give you your money? Or
Yes.
what happens? They do.
Yes, so we're actually going to do, I believe it's a week and a half from now, a webinar on buy or rebuild. And so there's a few things to know about that. One is that even though, so the insurance is covering the structure, not
Right.
the land. So they are going to, if you buy someplace else, they're going to want to deduct the cost of the land in your claim process. And you're going to have to fight that. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately, we've pushed it, and some companies are better than others, but for the most part, they would like to not have to pay that. And their response is going to be, well, you have land over here and you can sell that land.
I'd say they can have the burned land with the birds.
We'll try.
That's the reason I'd be moving.
Exactly. Your code upgrades is something that is labeled as incurred in your contract.
Mhm.
What that means is that as you make those upgrades, then they pay it. So that's another bit of a struggle. But your content, your loss of use, your dwelling, you should be able to fight the good fight on that and take your money and run.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't invest it in the next 2 years, you're going to have capital gains in good old California. So you just have to be aware of that.
Well, if you're old enough, I think there's a $500,000 between two people and everything that you put in your house and everything else. So that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your answer. Yes. And to be very honest with you, I didn't think twice about rebuilding my house when it burnt down. And I don't have any regrets. But I think that as I get older, I might go in a different direction if it was to happen again.
Well, I'm older. I had enough. I mean, if God forbid.
Oh, I understand. It's
Um,
all of this is hard and it's
horrible.
stressful. If you're, I believe you guys have it in your area, but if you, I know you have emergency alerts and such. If you have Watch Duty, it's an app and it's free.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if it's in your area or not, but it's in
It is.
most of California.
Yeah.
Add it to your phone. It is the best app I've ever seen. There's a gentleman and his partner who created that app after our fire in 2017. And it gives you real time, the minute the fire breaks out, it's going off of the radio frequencies of the fire department. And so they're telling you exactly when it breaks out, where it is, how many units are being called in, rate of spread, when it's, when they, if they ask for more resources, it tells you that. It will tell you in the first 10 minutes more than any of the alerts tell you in an hour, for the most part. And
I
it's
think
just
we all
very
signed up for
comprehensive.
that. Yeah, I think Greg is flashing something at me. I think that's the thing we all signed up.
Perfect.
So
And Alicia's talking about farmers, and they do, I have farmers and I touch base with them about every 2 months. And if you go with them, they now have a leak detection system, automatic shutoff for water and for gas that you have to have, and burglar alarms. And I'm going to tell you that may seem like a lot. I had, and we don't promote insurance companies. I had no problems with my insurance company when I lost my home, and I'm farmers. And I wouldn't change unless they make me change.
yeah. Well, I have Allstate, and as long as they're insuring me, I'm not saying a word.
Nope, you'd just be that little mouse.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And there's no gas up here, so no natural gas.
Oh, perfect. And so they have talked about if you have a propane tank, there has been some
Yeah.
talk of them
That
wanting
either.
they're buried or having a wall around it, having it be farther away from your house. So just bear that in mind as you're going through life and making changes, that could be in your future.
Yeah. No leaving, no propane. No,
No.
no, wood stove, that's it.
Yep. So, um,
Annie, just so you know, we do have watch duty up here and they have expanded to neighboring states. So our neighbors to the north now have it in Nevada, and I think they're moving into Washington and Idaho. So
perfect.
they are expanding quite a bit. And I just wanted to comment on the one thing you said. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, that your structure is what's insured, not the property. So damage to property from whether, fire is the minimal part, but anything else that happens, your property is not insured at all. So I learned that unfortunately the hard way. So it's just the actual structures that are
Yep.
insured.
And Alicia says that if she's on the California Fair Plan, there are no supplemental policies available. Have you checked into that thoroughly? Because it seems to be the policy that nobody worries about writing because it has the least risk. And you can get that policy through any of the insurance agencies.
Okay, so if I don't have anything else, I'm just looking at my screen here, double checking. We've got a great group here tonight. Again, Annie, thank you so much. And thank you for your willingness to share your PowerPoint. I believe that was Jen who asked that from the Forest Service and from the Klamath National Forest. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. So Alicia, you need quoted straight from my insurance provider. You need to go to another one and ask. I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if anybody has any questions that they think of in the next few days or whatever, please feel free to ask me. I can't promise I'll have an answer, but I will. If there is an answer out there, I'll find it for you. And thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you very much. And if we have any other questions, if after Annie leaves, put them in the chat and we'll gather them and we'll get them answered for you. We'll send them to Annie.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right, I'm just going to go through the agenda. I haven't seen Clint sign on yet tonight. Do we have anybody from the Klamath River Basin Wildfire Crisis Strategy Landscape Update? You guys need a shorter title or a better acronym.
Hey, Jamie, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
So Clint was going to make it, but he had something come up at the last minute. He did give me a quick overview, so I'm just going to read what he gave me to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
So right now, they are working on a program called FORSIS that allows them to overlay some values that they have developed in some GIS layers with some fire modeling, and that when they cross-reference those, it's going to help them identify where they have the highest risk to those values, values being structures, infrastructure, critical water sources, etc. So they do plan on reaching out to the fire safe councils to help them identify what other values they might want to consider with the fire modeling runs and how to rank those values. They're working towards developing a 5-year strategic plan for the next phase of projects and treatments. So a survey should be coming out soon to engage the fire safe councils with that. And then hopefully it sounds like a chance to sit down and go over some of the modeling opportunities. So more to come on that. They got all of the projects for fiscal year 24 into contracts or agreements, and implementation is beginning. So they have over 55,000 acres in contracts and obligations. So that's for the wildfire crisis strategy funding. So not other monies that the different forests are using in addition to that. So it's good news for forests in the basin. That's all I have. They do plan on making it to one of to your meetings, but yeah, he sends his regrets.
I talked to Clint last week. So he is sending, we're working with him on the mapping of their 24 or 25 projects, year 24, 25 projects, so we can incorporate them into our matrix to make our final decisions on our work for this year and next year. So he hopefully will get that here soon in a week or so. So thanks, Jen. Okay, sorry, I need to flip back and forth here. Our community wildfire defense grant, our CWDG grant, we'll give you an update on that between myself, Giselle, and Josh. And Josh being with CORE. And we are moving forward on both the matrix, which we're calling the matrix, which is our basically our plan and how we're going to pick our projects for this coming season and next year as well. And that is moving forward, and we think we'll probably have it to the board for approval by the end of next week. Josh has been doing, along with our Glenn, our board member, has been doing a lot of work on that. And that's moving forward. And as soon as we tie up some of these loose ends, and like I mentioned, get some of the information from like Clint's group and a few other items, we will pretty well have it ironed out. Josh or Giselle, you want to add anything to that?
Just an update on Fire Aside. That's the app for home assessing. And we're moving forward with that as well. Met with Jamie, she's the lead, and Josh to set it up how we want it, what we think is best. Jamie, Josh, anything more about Fire Aside?
Well, it's moving hand in hand with the matrix as far as completion. We'll have another meeting with the Fireside Company on Monday. We have been doing lots and lots of editing in the program to make it fit our needs here in Siskiyou County, as opposed to some of the other counties that have different issues. And as soon as we get some answers on a few editing items, that will be pretty much ready to go when we're going to do some test homes assessments out there, and then review those to make sure it's meeting our needs. And that will be ready to be done in the next week or two as well. Josh?
Yeah, very exciting on both of those, the Matrix and Fireside. Those are two key pillars to getting boots on the ground and performing the work that we are looking to perform. Other than those two, we've been doing a lot of outreach, gaining interest. So other than planning is getting those numbers. So I would like to give Diane, the program coordinator, a chance to speak on the outreach. I will post my email and contact if there is anybody here from the public that is interested in having their home assessed. You could contact me.
Hi, everybody. So on the
please introduce yourself when
I'm
you
sorry.
speak. Thanks.
This is Diane Lynn. I'm the project coordinator for CORE. I work alongside Josh with the Community Wildfire Defense grant that we have here in Siskiyou County. Just to provide an update on the education and outreach events that we had. Since May, we have had 7 events, 390 engagements with adults, 133 engagements with children. We've had 47 home assessment signups and 75 emergency alert signups. We do have 2 upcoming events at the end of June here. We have the Wairika Golden City event, which is also known as the Gold Rush Days, and the Trails and Music Festival in Etna.
Okay, thanks. All right, unless you have any questions on our CWDG grant, we'll move on and go for the forest updates. Jen, you're on again for Klamath.
Okay, and I see now that my video is not working, so I just look like a talking landscape.
Yeah, you do.
So just some quick updates for our fire season staffing. That's where a lot of our activity is happening. We've got 9 engines, 2 hotshot crews, a 10-person wildland fire module, and that's you know, like a hand crew pretty much, and then another hand crew out at Happy Camp and a water tender. All those folks are on. They're just completing their readiness reviews, but we're in our normal fire season staffing right now. We have our air attack platform on. One of our Type 2 helicopter or Type 3 helicopters at Scott Valley is on. The other one will be coming on this weekend. So that'll be 2 Type 3 helicopters. Those are the small helicopters out there at Scott Valley. And then our Type 1 will be coming on also this weekend. So that's the really big helicopters that that can deliver a lot of water. So they'll be out at Siskiyou. Our lookouts are on. We're starting to see an uptick in human-caused fires. You know, that's also concurrent with an uptick in fire danger. So just asking the public to, you know, see something, say something. If they notice that something's not right, I think, you know, folks are just a little, they're working on getting their guards up for fire season. So yes, let's see. Moving on from fire stuff, we don't have an announcement on a forest supervisor yet. We have Chris Sexton detailed into the forest supervisor position. She's normally our deputy. And then we have Natalie Kelly detailed in as the deputy. She's normally a district ranger over on the Salmon Scott Ranger District. Over on the Goose Nest Ranger District, we're waiting for an announcement on a district ranger detailer like any day now. So waiting on that. Scoping for the South End project, which treats about 30,000 acres roughly for fuels reduction, amongst some other things, but primarily fuels reduction. It ended in May. That's kind of south of Deer Mountain area, ties into the Antelope Fire footprint. So we're working on going through comments for that. 3 timber sales are going on the Goose Nest right now. One on the far north end. Pronghorn is another one over near Tennant. And then the Colt one, which I don't have a location for. But, you know, if folks are out driving around on the Goose Nest, be advised, we've got log trucks on our roads. Another timber sale will be getting started over on the Salmon Scott side, west of Sawyer's Bar. That's the Jess timber sale. And they're working on starting some implementation on the Bear Country project. Over at Happy Camp Oak Knoll, you know, the one thing I have gotten right now is that they've have some sedimentation issues on boat ramps. But other than that, no real update. We're continuing to patrol the river out there. So that's the Klamath National Forest update. Does anybody have questions?
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
We have Brian Murphy Did I see your name pop up? Brian, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Brian Murphy, I'm the fuels planner in McLeod. Joe Rodarm, our new district ranger, wanted to be here tonight. Something came up, he couldn't make it. He would like to address the group and introduce himself next meeting. So we'll look forward to that. On the Shmoo, which is the northernmost district of the Shasta Trinity, well, we've got 6 engines. We've got a water tender, a dozer, and 3 patrols. They're all staffed up. Not necessarily all 7-day, but we're also in our summertime staffing. We had our first lightning fire. It was high up in the eddies. Didn't get very big. Took care of it fairly easily, but it is a sign of the season. Our fuels are drying out. There's been a bit of a drying period since early May, mostly affecting the 1,000-hour fuels, but they're not critical or anything. They're just on a drying trend as normal. The herbaceous fuels are normal or slightly below. Some may be below normal due to some late freeze and frost cycles. Our ERCs are climbing since May 1st, and the BIs also, but both are below the 60th percentile, so we're not in any critical fire danger. And then I thought I would hit really quick some of the projects that we have going on or will be starting soon. We've got an I-Zone project that's just east of Mount Shasta, right along the non-fed ownership. So the Forest Service land as close to Mount Shasta as we can get. We're doing fuels reduction in there, a lot of mastication. We're doing the same out in Highway 89 near the McLeod River Loop, a lot of fuels reduction out there. Also out way to the northeast in the forest under those high voltage power lines, we've got some mastication going on out there. We've got a Lower McLeod project going on, and we're also starting to fall a lot of those hazard trees that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed along the Everett Memorial Highway. We've got guys, including CAL FIRE, helping us in there fall those snags and mitigate those hazards to the road. So that's my update for the Fire Safe Council. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Seems like you've got a nice workload ahead of you. All right, Susie, I know you're here for CAL FIRE update.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Sorry, my camera's not working also. Must be a Zoom thing tonight. But good evening, everybody. My name is Susie Brady. I'm the Fire Prevention Specialist and the Unit Information Officer for CAL FIRE Siskiyou. Like my partners have said with the forest, we have been busy. Fire season is here. If someone wants to say it's not, look out your window. We're dry and we're starting to get fires. I know someone asked the question today to me about our recent fire that we had up in Hornbrook and wanted to know if we were able to pull water out of the Klamath River. So I want to make sure everyone is aware of it. We were able to pull water out of the Klamath River to suppress that fire that we had up there. So I just want to make sure I got that out publicly known if anybody had that question. Also, to let you know, the burn suspension we're putting in place starting next Monday, so the 17th, no more burning is allowed in Siskiyou County. We will be fully staffed next Monday as well. That will need 2 engines at each CAL FIRE facility, as well as we're bringing on a Type 1 helicopter to join the Klamath Type 1 helicopter out there at the airport. This year, we starting Monday, we'll have a total of 4 crews, 2 M8 crews and 2 firefighter 1-hand crews, 13 frontline engines. Like I said earlier, 1 helicopter and 2 dozers and multiple other staffing. Wanted to let you know we did receive a CAL FIRE grant that was awarded to the Siskiyou County General Fund for an excavator with a masticator head on it, which is awesome for us with fuel projects. It's going to be used on the Osgood project, which is in Wairika. And then after that, it's available for other projects throughout the county. And just some good news for all of our hard work together. Siskiyou unit did rank the top unit in the state for fuels treatment. And that's due to all the hard work with our partners with the Fire Safe Council, as well as our federal partners and local government. So besides that, that's all I have for CAL FIRE if anybody doesn't have any questions for me.
Okay, Great job. Thank you, Susie. Okay, I'm gonna go through quick. If I miss somebody, please stop me. But Caltrans, Shasta Valley RCD. Do you have anybody?
Yeah, I believe Dan Blessing's here.
Is Dan? Okay,
Mhm.
I missed him. Dan, are you here?
Yeah, I am.
There you are, Dan. Well, without
Okay.
pictures, I can't. I have to read everything. So
Yeah. So, we do have a defensible space grant going on right now in West Mount Shasta. It's for 100 homes, and we've signed up about 50 people. So we're still looking for another 50 folks to sign up. It's defensible space only, not doing any home hardening there. But we do have, down the road here a little bit, another grant that's should come in, that's in Dunsmuir, just in the city of Dunsmuir, or the larger Dunsmuir area, I guess. And that'll be 500 homes, and it'll be doing defensible space and home hardening. So, maybe getting some folks some help with, their insurance there. We're also doing some post-fire restoration right now. We've got work going on in 5 fires: the Slater Fire, McKinney Fire, Mill Fire, Mountain Fire, and Antelope Fire. And so just trying to, mostly remove fuels, dead fuels and stuff, and then get trees established. So, if you've got property there, for the most part, most of those fire areas are kind of spoken for, but we're still looking for some landowners to participate, specifically, I think, in the McKinney fire area mostly. Oh, and then the mountain fire area also. So you can contact us. Yeah, just one quick go back. So if you are, in the West Mount Shasta area, and that's basically west of the freeway and east of Rainbow Ridge, sort of in that path there, and you want to sign up, just go to the Shasta Valley RCD website. Right on the front page, there's a link to defensible space sign up, but you can also contact me or anyone that works there. So that's what we have.
thanks, Dan. You want to put your contact information in the chat for everyone?
I'll put a link to for the website.
Thank you. All right, thanks. I don't see Christian here, so we'll move on. Orcal RC&D, George, is that you?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, I'm just speaking for the Miller Mountain Project, which is over by Grass Lake, partnering with Shasta Valley RCD. Right now, I think we're finishing up on the NEPA and going to start implementation here soon. Hopefully, Dan. Sounds like it. And that's 300 acres, starting from 97 and working our way over toward Ball Mountain Road. And also we're working on the Outson fuels reduction project, and which is the southwest kind of corner of Wairika, the city of Wairika, across from Walmart and the hills and around the homes in the south end. It's one of the areas probably with the least amount of work completed. And so we're pretty excited about that moving along. Again, we're completing the CEQA, and then we're going to move on to implementation. And we're hoping that will be this fall, is our goal. So trying to think of anything else. We're partnering with the city on, and some of the prevention parts of that grant. So there's kind of a requirement to participate in maintenance on workshops that we're going to have. And through that grant, we're also funding the Siskiyou PBA to do a couple of 2 to 3 prescribed burn workshops also. So there's some things coming, education and, for maintenance and for awareness of the, value of prescribed fire in the area. And I think that's about it for right now. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Thanks, George. And there's a lot of things happening in the county. I think this is really, really nice to see and hear about compared to what it was 10 years ago. So that's great. Okay, we'll move on. Prescribed Burn Association. Dan, do you have anything on that, or is anybody for that besides you?
No, nothing this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Scott River Watershed, Mount Shasta Bioregional, Sierra Nevada Conservancy. Siskiyou County OES. Didn't see anybody on, okay. And then Nancy was on earlier with the county supervisor, but I think she's gone now. I think we missed our chance of Nancy. Joe's gone, so Pacific Power. Okay, and NRCS, James isn't on tonight, Eric Olson. Okay, we have a lot of people missing tonight. And then we'll go into Giselle, do we have anything on the Stevens Wyden's amendment update? You're muted.
I'm trying to get, yeah, there was.
Okay.
I think Jen gave us a little update last time. So when they, and Brian, when they hear, they will pass the word on to us. Is that right, Brian?
That's right, Giselle.
Okay. All right, well, we'll just keep moving on through our Fire Safe Council updates for our local ones. Black Mountain. Okay.
Yeah, hi
Go ahead.
everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Joseph from Black Mountain. I just wanted to bring up some awesome updates. I've taken it on with Black Mountain, but I've also taken it on with myself, seeing that all our fuels are like everybody's been saying, we're basically in fire season. And we had that fire the other day out here in Hornbrook KRCE. We were evacuated, but we did not leave. I was keeping an eye on it. We were packing up, but by just the time we were packing up, they were getting a control on it. So I have taken on throughout the county within myself and my nephew, and I've gained a crew of 4 going around and weed whacking and doing fuel reduction programs within myself throughout KRCE, A12, and now I'm actually working over in the valley as well in Fort Jones, Greenview, Etna, Callahan's, going along and helping everybody I can with reducing not just brush anymore or tree trimming, but we all know that we had a great winter with water supply. We're all worried about fire season this year. And my main 100% concern this year is, we all know, is our tall grasses this year throughout the county. So I've a lot of people are calling me after the Hornbrook fire the other day and requesting to get their yards weed whacked. But in open quorum, I have a topic that I want to bring up in open quorum when we get to that point, on a topic that I think Fire Safe Council needs to very well look into in the near future, and maybe even CAL FIRE, Forest Service, with helping elderly weed whack their yards, because state of California and state of Oregon is right behind us. That we all know that state of California is wanting to go all electric equipment because of the gas powered equipment starting homemade, handmade fires every year, that we all know. That all our stores in Siskiyou County are basically already out of stock of all gas powered. But the issue is that when the elderly use their electronic equipment, you only get like 10 to 20 minutes worth of a use out of a battery operated equipment, to where it's not allowing them to get all the fuels reducted in a way. So I want to bring up this topic about how we can help our elderly and maybe find ways with maybe the core group or any kind of group that we can get together on this topic to help our elderly homeowners reduce not just our brush fuel load, but also now our 10-second brush grassy fuels that we all know that is our main #1 fire carrier in most of these fires that we get. And other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. We have Butte Valley, Copco, Dunsmuir.
I'm sorry, Jamie. Butte Valley's got a fuel reduction project that we're working on. We've got several homeowners signed up and we're moving forward with that.
Okay, thanks. So I'll go back, make sure I don't miss anybody. Copco, Dunsmuir.
Dunsmuir here.
Yeah,
Are
okay,
you
go
here?
ahead. You
Oh,
first.
there's Stephen. Hi.
For Dunsmuir, we have hit our quota for Firewise. So we're going to be getting our whole community Firewise certified. We've been talking with CAL FIRE about that. So we're about to officially submit the application. I've already kind of submitted it for preliminary review. And I've heard back some comments. And so I've made those changes. And I'm just waiting for the green light to hit the official submit. And then we should be good with that. We are planning to do our second Greenways Day of the year in early October. So we'll have that coming out soon. We did just apply for a climate adaptation grant, and part of that is to do a biomass feasibility study for the Dunsmuir area, which would include looking at what facility would probably work for the area, for the fuel types in the area. So we should find out about that grant in the next couple of months.
That's all great news.
Yeah,
Stephen.
it is.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Good
Fire
job.
Safe Council also has a grant in Dunsmuir, and we've got about 1,000 acres of CEQA. The CEQA has been submitted to CAL FIRE, and we're just waiting for it to be approved. We also have 180 acres of defensible space that we plan to do. We applied by the acre, not by the house for that grant, but we've got some landowners already signed up. I think about 40 or 50 signed up for that project, and we're still we need more. So anyway, that's what we're doing in Dunsmuir with the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County.
Great.
I'm also gonna put a little plug in for Stephen, who was gracious about getting in the Wildfire Ready Raccoon mascot costume on Saturday, despite the sweltering heat, so that we could be in the parade for the railroad. So thank you, Stephen. You really took one for the team. It was much appreciated by the Fire Safe Council and the community. I don't know if Smokey was the Forest Service. Jen, I don't know if Jen might know. It's not her forest, but or if Brian knows, but I don't know if Smokey was ahead of us in the parade or not. But Wildfire Ready Raccoon was there, so that was awesome. Thanks to Stephen.
Okay.
That was the Shasta Trinity. I do know that Woodsy was there. I imagine Smokey was there too.
Yes, Woodsy was there with Smokey. They were there together.
Okay, Hammond Ranch.
I went to a homeowners meeting out there, and they're looking to form a Firewise community, and they're looking for future fuel reduction. So working with the homeowners association, don't know where that's gonna go. So we'll see.
Okay. Happy Camp.
Oh, Marushka from Hammond Ranch is on here. I don't know if she has anything she wants to say.
I keep losing people. No, no, there she is. Okay. Okay. Well, she can jump in. So we'll move on then. Horse Creek. Glenn isn't here. I don't see anybody else. Juniper Flat.
Juniper Flat finished their project. It's an awesome project, and if you need to talk about it or talk to Margie, she'd be glad to do that. It's been an awesome project.
Yeah. Klamath River. Lake Chestina.
We've got a vegetation treatment plan, 6,000 acres. We're partnering with Shasta Valley RCD to get that done. They're going to be our lead agency. And we've also got about 180 acres of fuel reduction to do out there when we have the VTP completed.
Okay. Lower Scott.
Oh, hi, Giselle. Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute myself. It's Marushka with
Oh, hi,
Hammond.
Mariska.
Thanks. Thank you, Giselle, again for joining our board meeting last month. That was very helpful. I don't think there's a huge update other than, I don't know. We might have, I don't know if the board, everybody seems like they don't maybe have the bandwidth. So I'm hoping I'm going to do a little more research into what exactly is entailed to start a Firewise community. I started looking at the website and try to get, I realize it doesn't have to be board driven. It can be neighbor driven. And that's about it, aside from they started a chipping program for defensible space last week. Thanks for having me.
Well, Marushka, we have a couple people that I'm sure would be just jumping for joy to help you with any information on Firewise, and that would be Kristen and Josh and Diane. And,
okay. I've been in touch with Kristen a bit.
Okay.
I'll reach out to Kristen for the other contacts and yeah.
Yeah, Mariska, are you still going to have a community barbecue and help to promote your Firewise? We talked.
I'm hoping. Yeah, we're doing that on Saturday, July 6th. So I don't know is there any sort of like flyers or anything that I could get to bring with me to try to muster up some interest, or
yeah, I can definitely get you a bunch of pamphlets, Mariska. I go up to our farm school's up right near you, just a mile away from you, so we can figure out meeting up.
Okay,
and I can get you a bunch of pamphlets.
Thanks.
And we did talk to a bunch of Hammond Ranch residents between all the different events we've been doing outreach for at the last month. So definitely a lot of people that engaged and said, "Oh wow, I didn't realize that." People who kind of started to pass us. And we're like, "Oh, we know what we're doing. We got everything's all set. We don't need to talk to you."
Right.
But I got to hook into them, and they're the circle background. They're like, "Wait a minute, what?" And they ended up talking for like a half an hour, and they're like, "Oh, you really knew how to nab me, because I thought I knew, but I really didn't." So, so people are definitely getting, the message about Firewise. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll message you.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to have a board to do Firewise. You don't have to even have a large group. What is it? Eight at this point, neighbors and stuff.
Yeah. I think there might be just, I don't want to take too much time, but quickly in case others are listening, not from the board, but like, is there any danger of, say you have an assessment come out and you realize it's just not feasible for you? Does that almost like raise a flag for your house to be like uninsured, or like, is it sort of like, do you think that there's sometimes neighbors that are not wanting to do it because it might call attention to their property, or I don't know?
There is that concern from people that they don't want to raise any red flags. The assessments that we're going to do will not go to any insurance company, any government agency. They will be for the homeowner themselves. It's discrete information, and it is not shared anywhere.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
It will be code locked, so the only person that could get into it will be either us or you with a code.
And us is just a few of us on the board and with CORE. So it's not like 1,000 people.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mariska, were you asking in regards to the Firewise application, or are you talking about the home assessments through the CWD?
Oh no, I thought in order to become Firewise, we have to get a home assessment. So I was kind of asking about Firewise, but I thought to be Firewise, you get some sort of assessment. But maybe I'm
it's a very generalized community wildfire risk assessment. We did it. I wrote along with Fire Chief Dan Padilla from the Dunsmuir Fire Department, and Sue Lang, who was spearheading the first Firewise community in Dunsmuir a year ago. And it's very generalized. It's literally a sidewalk. Actually, we didn't even get out of the truck for the most part. So we just drive around. And you eyeball the house and you get very rough.
Okay.
What just how that can see frustrate, you know, so not even walking anyone's property. So what percentage of homes has cloud, what percentage of homes have, you know, soft, you know, that kind of invisible space. Yeah, programs and all over from the web. So, and then you so from that is that goal for improvement for.
I don't know if everybody else is having the problem, but I can't hear her. She's
Yeah, Kristen,
you're breaking
Kristen,
up.
you're breaking up. You're not coming
Oh.
in well at all. So if you just contact Mariska about
Yes.
the information, that would
Correct.
be
Thank you.
great.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kristen.
Yep,
Sorry.
sorry. I guess
Sorry.
I guess my internet is not connected
No,
for some reason.
it's not. All right.
That was me at our board meeting last night. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. So McLeod and then Mount Shasta.
Okay, McLeod's course now here, Mount Shasta. We're still working on our project on Old Stage. We finished up another project up on Eddy recently, and we're going to be having a Mount Shasta area fire safe council. We do it quarterly. That will be tomorrow night. If you want to join that meeting, you can go to firesafesiskiyou.com, and that link is there on our county website. I believe Dan Blessing will be coming back to talk about the West Mount Shasta project, and there's other information that will be pertinent to folks living in this area. So please join us tomorrow night.
Okay. Orleans, Quartz Valley, Salmon River, Syad, Wairika. I know I saw Jay on here earlier.
Oh, George is on. Let George cover it.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Jay. I already talked about it a little bit, but I think he's doing some prevention messaging. I'd like you see if you talk about that.
Go, Jay.
Well, we're hopefully everybody on the call is on Giselle's email list, but we're continuing through a grant that Orcal got, doing our weekly community wildfire protection messaging, and that'll go on for another 10 or 11 weeks, I think. And you know, everything else you've already heard between what George is doing with Orcal RC&D and Dan's doing with the Shasta Valley RCD. There's just a boatload of work going on around the Wairika.
A boatload.
A boatload. Okay, a crew crummy load.
All right, thanks, Jay. And then we'll move on to the open forum. So Joseph, you already kind of mentioned what you wanted to talk about. Do you want to talk about it more?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. And I also have one other update I wanted to bring up real quick that me and my sister just brought up. I believe most of us on here on Fire Safe Council knew Herman Spanos from Copco Lake Fire Department. He was our fire chief of Copco Lake Fire Department and also the fire chief of the Fire Chief Association in Wairika. He sadly passed away last week, and they're having a service for him next week, next Saturday, the 29th at 1 o'clock up at the Copco Lake Copco Lake Community Center, I believe it is, at 1 o'clock on the 29th. Me and my family are going to go. He was a huge liaison for helping our Black Mountain Fire Department and also Black Mountain Fire Safe back when my parents were alive. So I just wanted to give condolence out to his family, and hopefully he's all in our prayers in that part. And along with my topic, like I was saying in my part, I've been going around I'm up to at least 30 to 40 jobs right now, doing fuel reduction programs all over the county now, not just here in KRCE. But my main concern, and talking with all my homeowners that I'm helping out, that they're all going to electric powered weed eaters, chainsaws, everything's going battery powered. And my concern, and I've been bringing it up to within myself and thinking about it, with our fire situation just getting worse and worse through the years, with our grass control this year is just insane. I've been weed eating grasses that are 5, 6, 7, 8 feet tall, especially over in the valley in Callahan's, Fort Jones, Etna. Matter of fact, I'll be over there in the valley tomorrow doing a couple. That my concern is when people go out and weed whack, besides starting fires with gas powered equipment, which we all know that does happen on mistakes and things like that, that in the near future, with the state of California going all gas powered, that you don't really get that much accomplished with battery powered equipment. You get 30, 40 minutes out of each battery use. And then most of the elderly that I'm helping, or even just homeowners that I'm helping, they have brought it to my attention that their fuels are still not getting reduced in the grasslands and things like that, or even the brush removal or tree trimming, roof clearance and things like that. So my concern is I'm basically overwhelmed with all the jobs I'm taking on, but I love doing it to help our fire safe, wise communities. But in the near future, I see it being a massive issue with insurance companies, with the fire crews not being able to save that many homes because of the fire behavior of our grassy fuels, not getting completely accomplished because of this new state bringing all gas powered equipment away from us. I know it's a good, safe thing to do, but you just can't get that much amount of work done with the battery power that you can a gas powered, long as you do it correctly and safely and have all the safety equipment with you when you do this kind of work. So my question is to Fire Safe Council, is there ways that we can maybe in the future think about maybe getting crews together to, and I saw just last week that Weed Fire Department had a post on Facebook that Weed Fire Department was going around doing the same kind of work that I'm doing to help homeowners go around and weed whack and tree trimming or whatever kind of fuel reduction needs done around homes. That if there's a way maybe we can get our local fire departments involved, like before fire season starts, or whatever kind of things that we can come up with and discuss in future meetings to help elderlies do this kind of work.
Yeah, Joseph, it's always been on our agenda to be able to help people who can't do the work themselves. It's been tough go over the last 20 years to get grants for that. We've had a few in the past, and some of our CWDG money can be slated for some of this. And we will continue in the future to get grants that where we can just hire crews to go out and do the work for people who physically can't do it themselves. It's certainly always been part of us, but I don't have a broad scale answer for you as far as the electrical issue. I don't think that's not going to change. That's been, or now it's been coming around for a number of years now. People have just waited. But as you stated, the stores have now following suit. So I think we just have to figure out how to work within the law, not try to subvert it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jamie. Also, CAL FIRE came along last week all throughout here in KRCE and started doing their inspections. And they told me they've already inspected well over 200 to 400 homes. And mainly 90% of them that they were concerned about was our grasses. And I told them that I work with Fire Safe Council and that I go around within myself, and I'm up to a crew of 4 that I use to go around and do this. And help the elderly, because when they use battery power, you only get like 30-40 minutes on a battery charge, and they just want to give up for the day because they're getting frustrated that they can't get any more done. So they call me to go help them get it completed. But it's just getting overwhelmed on how many people want the help. But if there's ways that we can do it in the future, like you said, it is definitely a law issue through the state that we would have to go all the way to the government issued level to figure something out, or maybe down the road do try to find some kind of grants that can cover the work on the ground and crew work kind of deal.
Yeah, we're working on that, Joey. Like Jamie said, the Community Wildfire Defense Grant may be able to help some of the older and indigent. And I just want to say thank you for all the work you're doing and that you have done in your area and the past many, many years. You're really appreciated for your diligence.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you so much. I'm really taking it on. And another thing is I'm so blessed on the people that I have gained. You guys know one of them, you and Dell, Bob Cameron out there on A12 have got me so much work that I'm even working over in Fort Jones, Etna, Callahan. I'm doing 2 big jobs right down by the Fort Jones Fire Hall, and most of the customers are actually donating me massive equipment to get this all accomplished. They have donated me up to 6 chainsaws, 4 weed eaters, anything I need. They're more than welcome to help me out. So I'm just thoroughly blessed with being with part of Fire Safe. It's awesome.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you.
All right, do you have anything else for the open forum?
This is George Jennings. I just have a question about the work that's being done on the county plan, and then the work that's being done to change the ordinances and the involvement of the county outside of the cities to, get more enforcement and maybe go after more grants. Does anybody have a line on that? I know we were working with Julie Titus a little bit, kind of back and forth. I think that's something that we should be really involved with, but maybe you are, and I just haven't heard about it.
The Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County submitted grant requests to CAL FIRE for updates on our plans, which could include all those codes. Not sure how we'll approach that, but we asked for one in weed, a plan in weed, and to update our community wildfire protection plan. So George, I don't know. It's still has not. I've had indications from CAL FIRE that it might be awarded, but we don't know. We're working on it. We'll see what happens.
So I think I just want to make sure
I think just piping in, George.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is that sorry, go ahead. That is I just was gonna say I'm Giselle, he's talking a completely a different topic from what my understanding. He and I were talking about the actual county ordinance work, which is different than CWPP work. It's policy, it's changing and looking at some of the policies that need to match in terms of even on roads and roadside the different, there's just a lot of different areas that we could do better with the county ordinance stuff.
Right.
And so he and I were approaching it. I didn't follow up, George, is my question to you. We sort of we talked about it, and I got going in other directions and things came up, and I thought maybe you had followed up on it too. So maybe we should reconvene or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just to follow up on that. So I understand that the county is working on their general plan, and that parts of this can be is the time to get that voice in there. But I'm not hearing so much. Like, I assume they're public plans, but I'm not hearing much about it, and I'm hoping that doesn't go by before groups like this that have such a big following are chiming in on that, because the county's a big player in all this and keeping the public safe. And I just feel like I'd like to see them more active. And, you know, there's so much grants available out there that they should be an active player in, you know, part of that enforcement. They don't do the same. I mean, it's not the same kind of work that CAL FIRE does for the home, you know, defensible space inspections. It's the ingress and egress roads. It's big fields. I'm thinking more in the WUI around the communities, not so much the whole county, but really doing that work around the communities, because the cities can do a lot of work, but if it isn't done on the outside, I mean, you know, so I think our ordinances are like super old and need to be looked at, and I don't know if that's being done, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know what, George? I'm thinking maybe OES might be a good path with the county, being their emergency services
Well,
side
I
of it.
was gonna chime in. I really don't. This is just secondhand. Dan, Blessing is still on here. He can probably speak to it much more with much more knowledge and background. Stephen, unfortunately, Decatur from Dunsmuir, is not on anymore. But my understanding from talking to Stephen is that yes, the plan is expiring like in August, I think it is very, very, very soon. And that they are scrambling to try and get it finished, but it doesn't seem like it's going to get finished before it expires, and so there's going to be a lapse in, I don't know. It's a sticky situation as far as I understand it right now. They got a grant for it a year ago, and now it's like down to the wire, and I don't know. So that's the little bit of information I gleaned, but I don't really know.
Yeah, it's a hazard mitigation plan we're talking about here, and it expires August 25th. They're thinking, you know, the new one's not going to come into place until, you know, well into the next year. So we will have a little bit of a lapse there between the two.
Yeah.
But
if I'm not mistaken, I think George's question is, what's the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County going to do about it? How are we going to use our clout to make a difference? And that's what I was saying. We're going to update our CWPP. We could put something in there, but I don't know what it would be. We would say that we are expecting to work with the county, or expect that the county will uphold their ordinances and enforce them. Say something in it. We can't make them do anything. George?
Well, yeah, my understanding is that there is a lapse, that it does affect a lot of our organizations, because we won't be able to get certain grants because we don't have a current hazard mitigation plan in place. So it is actually a really, really big deal that this fell through the cracks. And I think it is I think we do have a place to say, be questioning and calling and like, what's going on here? What happened? How did this happen?
Why don't we put this on our agenda for next month and realize that, yes, that's next month is July. And then if the plan expires in August, that's cutting it close. But why don't we put it on the agenda and then invite specifically both, not OES to come, but also the county who's working on it, and then make sure that and at least Nancy and one other county supervisor is here to talk about it, and then we can see where we can go as far as what the Fire Safe Council's effect can be on it.
Yeah. So,
I think that's a
and
great
maybe
idea.
Jamie, just to add to that,
Yeah,
to
Julie?
go back to where George and I were, is to look specifically at the changes that would be proposed to the ordinance, if they're not adequate, is where George and I were back then, and also have a model of a couple potential ideas from other counties that are working. So that's just piping in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, let's that'll be our action item for next month, is to get that on the agenda and get the people who are involved with it and and see where we can go from there. And yeah, Julie, I like your idea of getting some samples. I'm sure, I'm not speaking for them, but I'm sure the county has looked at some other counties who've already done it and updated theirs. But if we can give them an idea of what we would like to see, that would be really helpful.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So our next meeting is, and thanks, George, for bringing that up.
I have a question, just real quick.
Oh, who's this? Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm new to all this. I hear about all the hazard mitigation and the biomass that's being cleared out. What is happening with the biomass as when you've got it? What do you dispose of it? Like say for core, like for core.
Well, we have a lot of different options, and mostly right now what we were doing is we just chip it or we masticate it into chips. Some are pile burning it, and we can take it to disposal sites, but it's very expensive. And so I know that Happy Camp's working on some solutions. I know Jen Erickson from the Forest Service was working on maybe a curtain burner. So it's a big deal, Dave. And the state has a whole committee that's working on biomass mitigation stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because there's that California Jobs First initiative that's out there, $182 million grant. I know they're talking about a pellet, creating a fire pellet industry, but to me that sounds kind of strange because it's not something that you can ramp up and then ramp down once you finally, that it's not you end up creating a job or a position like that creates more work because they need to harvest more wood to keep it going.
Right.
So the question would be, has anybody been approached from the Fire Safe Council by this California Jobs First to have your input about what they could do to create a better biomass, where there would be something that doesn't require us to make fire pellets that we sell overseas?
I've seen some stuff from them. We haven't really interacted with them much. And I think like I said, there's been other suggestions other than pellets. Pellets, they have to make them out in the wood or do stuff out in the woods because haul time kills any of that kind of stuff. So, and that's not real viable either. So I don't know. It's an ongoing discussion. And we might need just a biomass workshop and invite all the biomass people from around the country that are really into this to talk about it and offer some options. And I'm up for that. If the board is up for that, maybe we can have a biomass workshop sometime soon and invite all the important folks to the table.
And maybe look into the California Jobs First as a part of, because they've got $1 million grants out there. So just something to think about.
Yeah, we don't need to think about.
Hey, just a quick,
can
I add
oh,
something?
Yep.
I just wanted to add something quick about curtain burners. And the city of Wairika purchased a curtain burner with a CAL FIRE grant, and they're going to be partnering with us on, kind of having a demonstration project of the use of that. So, and then they also hired a resilience person, a new staff person. And I'm just wondering if you guys were aware of that, maybe try to get her to come on and talk about what the city of Wairika is doing with that new curtain burner and what her plans are as far as the city of Wairika. If you need her information, just let me know.
What's her name, George? What's that?
Her name is Susan Chafee.
Susan.
I'll send you her contact information.
Okay.
She's being funded through this grant also. It's a 5-year.
No.
All right, good. Yeah.
I was gonna chime in. So if you wanted to go down that rabbit hole, Dave, the California, it's a state, a government entity, the California Forestry. Oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher the name. It's kind of a long.
I think they're part of RCRC, aren't they? They're a division of RCRC.
Yes, so it's the California Forestry Resilience, Wildfire and Forest Resiliency Task Force. Am I getting that right? If anyone can correct me. They did a the first they do, regional meetings all over. And that was the first time they actually came to the state of Jefferson, the far northern region was last fall. And so that was there was 3 panel discussions, and that was one of the discussions. It was all about, job training, job creation, housing for, it was a very deep dive into all of this. So that is something they are working on, and it was at Shasta College. And that was a big part of the discussion. A lot of the department heads from Shasta College were there. And the logging students were there tabling, so it's definitely being discussed at the highest level in our state for sure. It's kind of beyond our wheelhouse, the scope and scale, I would say, but yeah, that's definitely a big thing. But it is in terms of the biomass. I don't know if you heard earlier, Stephen Decatur, the new hazard mitigation planner for Dunsmuir, he just applied for a grant to do a biomass facility feasibility study, and he is following in the footsteps of Happy Camp. They're already well on their way into that process of a biomass facility feasibility study. Attended their last meeting, or I guess it was their first kickoff meeting a few weeks ago. So there's definitely a lot going on with that. And then there's a new entity that just came into Siskiyou County last year. Brendan Hafner is the owner, director of Ascent Forestry, and they already had one of the largest industrial scale. Is it an air curtain burner? Now I'm double guessing.
A biochar.
Well, it's a bar. Yeah, it's a bio. Yeah. It's beyond. Yeah, it's beyond that, right? It's a bio. It's one of the biggest industrial, or it is the biggest industrial biochar machines. I don't know if that's the right term. Yeah. And then they had 2 more on order that were on the way, and they just relocated their entire company from the Bay Area to Siskiyou County. And he's a really great young guy, super dedicated, passionate guy that, really wants to partner up with, entities like ours, the McCullough Foundation, and, RCDs that are all involved in this work. And so I put his information in the chat he'd be a great guy to, do an interview with on your, with your media, outlets. So.
Yeah, Kristen, that's a good suggestion. We could bring him to a get together if we do that for, and Dale and I have been part of the California Governor's Forest Management Task Force subcommittee on biomass utilization. And that's who had their thing at Shasta College. And they used to have monthly meetings, not so much anymore, but I think we can figure out something in the future. I would say either in August or September, bring it all together. I don't know how quickly we can get these people available, or how quickly they would be available to speak with us, but I say we do it.
Yeah, and Dave, if you wanted to, do any media coverage, I'll forward you the email. It's the Burke company who is the contractor for the Happy Camp feasibility study, and they are actually going to be doing a site visit in Happy Camp, I think next week, or very, very soon, in the next few weeks. So if you wanted to connect, interview them, or I don't know, I can send you that email.
I was just trying to figure out when we talk about burning and stuff like that, or whatever, if we're doing combustion, that's one thing. If we're doing incineration, it's a totally different, if your plant is not incinerating and you're just combusting the stuff, it's not a very green industry. So we want to make sure that if they're going to bring that in there, that the machinery is for incineration instead, to actually keep the emissions down.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna conclude the conversation. I think it's all great information and stuff. And some of it is outside of our wheelhouse, but it's something that we can certainly start discussions on and push in the right direction. And we have to go towards the next meetings, but our next meeting here is July 10th. And if you have any other critical questions, you can contact Giselle or myself with them, and we'll try to get everything answered. And with that, we've lost half our audience and it's getting late in the evening. So I'm going to say adjourn and good night to everybody.
Thank you, Jamie.
Bye.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jamie.
it.
Jamie, I got one quick question to ask you personally about the valley.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Speak with all that you guys were just talking about with biomass and green waste. Do you know if there's any green waste dumps over in the valley that homeowners can take their green waste, including me from all the jobs I'm doing? Is there anywhere that I can take green waste, or do I have to take it all the way to the Wairika dumps?
Yeah, there's none over here. We have to take everything over to Wairika ourselves.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
that topic you guys are talking about would be awesome for the valley
Yeah.
as well.
That's true. That's true for Salmon River and all of the valley and Scott River. There's no place in this area that has any green waste, and we haven't had
So
a
yeah, so basically McLeod is the only one that has the natural city green waste
Yeah.
Well,
dump.
actually, no, Lake Shastina does, but it's closed right now because they had some issues. But yes, it's something that we need to visit and revisit. It's an issue all in Siskiyou County, and we've been working on it for years. So let's just see if we can find a solution.
Keep working on it. Joseph,
I agree, guys. I agree.
I have to correct myself. The city of Etna has had green waste days, and they come to the county yard and not the county yard, excuse me, the city yard, and then the city takes it over. But that only happens for like one weekend a year. So that's all.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's-
Okay. Yeah, because all the job sites I've been doing, I've been hauling probably anywhere from 50 to 60 loads out of the valley and bringing it all to Wairika, and all the homeowners are getting kind of frustrated with that same scenario that they all have to do it and haul it all to Wairika. So this is a
Agreed.
huge topic.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
it
you
is.
guys.
All right. Good
like
night, everybody.
Greg, you can stop recording.
Yeah.